Everyone, and welcome back to the Coco Nomad channel, where I talk about financial and location independence, sharing tools, tips, and tricks that help you make a living and a life. If you're interested in videos like this and you want to follow along this journey, please click the like button. It helps other people find it, but also clicking the subscribe and clicking that notification bell. You'll get reminders when new videos come out. And this is another one of my fire reports. And if you are following along my fire journey, or you are on your own fire journey and just want to sort of see what other people are doing, welcome. And I'm glad you're here. And I go into some of the stats that I like to track. Now, if you're not familiar, fire is financial independence, retire early. And as like I always say on this channel, not really focused on the retire early part. That is not necessarily something that I'm trying to pursue right now. Because I've done many retirements, but I do need metrics to track my progress. I like to make sure that I'm on the right track, I'm going the right way, doing the right things. And so this helps me stay the course. And so I like sharing this. It's a way for me to sort of be publicly accountable. So let's go ahead and dive in to the different sections and the different metrics that I use to track my progress towards fire. And the first one is income stream, because that's the main thing. Money's coming in. I need the money coming in, and then I have to do some things with the money. So in this particular month stream, you'll see that things are different from last month. I did mention in the previous video, in the previous fire video, and some other income stream videos about my return to full-time employment. So my full-time job has become the main source of income. My goal is for it not to stay the main source, but right now, perfectly okay with it. And you can see it's moved up, whereas previously, almost 99% of my income stream was fulfilled by my consulting. Now that's downshifted all the way down to 20%. And at almost 80%, the full-time income stream is there. And so we see that that is the holding the number one spot. And then in the third place right now is media. And in particular, reason why this one is media is because I don't cash out earnings from my podcast, which is the only media that I have monetized right now. I don't monetize, my blog's monetized, this YouTube channel is not monetized, but I do get a little bit from ad reads on my podcast. And so that represented 0.2%, a fifth, of a percent of my income, which isn't a lot, and it's okay. I'm not really doing a lot to sort of promote the podcast, sort of like this YouTube channel. I really want it to grow, but I'm not running ads. I'm not doing anything in particular to sort of like boost it. I'm focused in some other areas right now, so I'm willing to be patient. And again, I'm trying to grow these streams for 2022, so I'm putting in some of the groundwork, most of which is in YouTube right now, to grow these particular streams. So I don't expect media to really take up a large proportion just yet. Now, investments, I do. I really, in the previous month, it occupied that third spot or second spot because I didn't have the full-time income yet. But this month is one of those off months where I didn't receive a lot of dividends for the stocks and funds that I own. It just wasn't a month where they pay dividends. A lot of them pay quarterly. So one of the things I'm doing in that regard is stepping up the number of holdings I have in companies that pay monthly dividends. Those tend to be in a certain segment, so I don't want to go overboard there because those are REITs. I don't want too much. I don't want to be overinvested in the real estate sector, but it would help to smooth out some of that investment income along with some other things that I'll be doing in the upcoming months. So we'll see. And then finally, merch. Merch is always a trickle. I used to have some better months back in the holidays, and I probably will have some better months for merch coming up in October, November, December timeframe when people tend to buy more T-shirts and mugs and that kind of stuff. And we'll probably see that bump up a little bit like it did last year. So, and I'm not doing a lot of design work right now. I have a few designs, and the holidays, I haven't really been paying attention to the holidays because my focus is elsewhere. I'll definitely get back on that at some point, but I think I can get more bang for the buck in some other places, and that's why I'm putting in the effort and the time to do that now. So that said, we see these streams. Nothing looks crazy. It's pretty much what I expected. So let's move on. And we'll get to savings rate, which is probably the low point of this particular report, because for the second month in a row, it's zero. Even though I had a step up in the income, I did spend a lot more money. I did some equipment upgrades, and that definitely has affected like my ability to save, because even though I had more money coming in, I finally decided to upgrade my laptop, my phone, and my watch. I'm I'm an iOS developer. I develop for these platforms. So I had a very old watch. It wasn't taking advantage of the new features. Phones, the same thing. Laptop was almost 6 years old. So it was getting a little slow doing builds and working on projects. So I decided it was time to go ahead and take the plunge. I also spent a little bit more money in travel. I went back home to Atlanta to visit my family and my brand new nephew. So happy to see him. It was totally worth it. He's adorable. And so I spent a lot more money. And so that took away what would have been savings. This could have been a month where I would have seen some positive savings, but I'm okay with it. I know moving forward, there'll be savings. And so I'm confident that number will be higher in the future months, and I'll have more money to put towards savings, which for me means investing. And that's where we get into the investment return. And again, like I mentioned, not a lot of dividends coming in. So you can see that investment return, less than 1% again for the second month in a row. It's okay. I'm still, trying to get some money in there, and I will take care of that. And we'll see that go up in the future. But this was expected. It's kind of like a company that has expected negative earnings for a quarter. It's like, I expected a negative, or less than one. This isn't a negative, but less than 1% return on what I had invested, because some of the holdings that I did buy were not dividend paying stocks or funds. I was just in it for the growth. There was a growth, and I'm just looking for growth in the long term. So those things will pay off in the future. But I will be shifting gears in the following months to try to get more of that coming out in terms of investment returns in the short term as well as the long term. Trying to get a little bit of both going on, which leads me to one of my favorite stats, and that is Runway. And that is, if no more money came in right now, how long could I live on my expense level and move forward? And my number has gone up a bit to 2.1 months from last month's 1.7. And again, just so you can be clear, full disclosure, I'm using a higher number to calculate an expense. So my number that I'm dividing by is actually a lot higher than what my actual living expenses tend to be, just because I'm projecting into the future for 3 years. When I get to a point where I want that flexibility, that if I want to downshift, I can focus on some other things, which will be most likely kids and a dog, that I can focus on that and not worry about having to manage the month-to-month income and having those passive income and investment income taking care of that and maintaining Runway. So, which brings me to the final stat, which is the overall fire status. Like, where am I? Still in the stable level, still. And if you want to understand what these levels mean, watch the video I'll drop in the description about the levels of financial independence. I did my own, so it's a little bit different than some of the ones that you may have seen elsewhere on the internet. It's sort of a mixture of about 3 or 4 different ones, and I picked stages that work for me. I've always found that the ones in the middle for most are a little murky for me, and I can't really connect to them. So I wanted to come up with my own that I could stay focused and stay on track and not lose sight, as I've done in the past. As I mentioned this, I've been in the flexibility level, which is higher level, moving up, and then of course move back down. And that's the thing I always like to try to make sure people understand, is that it's not like once you hit a level, you can never drop back down. It's like saying that once you make money, you can never lose it. It's not how that works. So you want to be mindful and always be moving forward. And I'm mindful of that, where I don't drop back again. So I'm putting some different things into place this time. And I am 3.6% towards my FIRE goal. And my FIRE goal, my FIRE number, again, is my Coast FIRE number, not the complete FIRE number, because for me, Coast FIRE is the goal where I can focus on family. I don't have to worry about the long term in terms of my investments growing in my own future. I'm worried about the little one's future. And then that's kind of going to be my focus. And so that goal is to get there in 3 to 5 years. It's supposed to say 5 years in the status, quite frankly. And that's where the goal is right now, is 5 years to get to that point. So that concludes this particular report. Thank you very much for following along. As I said before, click like and subscribe, the notification bell if you want to continue to get notifications. I really appreciate the support on the channel. It's very new. I'm still trying to grow it. If you have any questions or comments, though, please put them down in the description or the comment section, and I will answer them as soon as I can get to them. Or if you have some advice for me, I'm definitely going to read it. And if it applies, I'm definitely going to apply it, see how it works for me. Anything I should read, any other stats. I'm a stat hound. I'm a spreadsheet geek. So I'll definitely, if it's something that looks interesting, I'll add it to the spreadsheet as well. Might even start showing up in the future reports. So as always, have an amazing day, and I wish you the best on your own journey to fire. Talk to you next time. Cheers.